Doug, I'm sorry. I couldn't fight the fight anymore for us drunks. He was like apologizing to Doug for having to back out of the game. Ron, after 50 years of daily tequila drinking, is like, well, I wish I could still be in the fight with you, my friend.
Meanwhile, here's the thing, just like David Attell, Ron White is better than ever.
Yeah.
Ron White is on fire right now. And I've never seen, he's always been a great comic, but I've never seen him better. And I think the same about David Attell. David Attell, when he stopped drinking, I remember his boozing days, he was always great, but he's better now. And there's a thing where people think that the booze is what helps them. It makes them loose and it makes them relaxed. And yeah, I mean, it could kind of help a little bit. It can get you loose. It can, but not if it's a problem. Not if it's an alcohol problem. Not if you need to drink all the time or you need to be drunk for you to be able to go on stage. None of those things are good. And the thing is about it wrecks your fucking body, man. It wrecks your body. It takes away all of your vitality. And so when it takes away your vitality, your energy to create is it's compromised. Your energy to just live life and to have inspired thoughts, you're fucking hurting all the time, which is even more impressive how Stanhope and Ron White were so good for all those years.
Yeah, it sort of goes both ways. I feel like there's almost kind of an art, and we see this, right, with a lot of these guys, that I think there's almost something to the art of getting wasted and laying in bed the next day thinking about what's next. I'm not positive of what Chappelle's writing process is at all, but I have a feeling that he's thinking about stuff while recovering the next morning, because when else would he do it? And by morning, I mean basically afternoon, right? Because he goes hard in the paint. He has a lot of fun. Yeah. And, we see it on stage all the time. At the Comedy Store, he would, just plow through bottles of Corona, another Corona, another Corona, another Corona, and he stays in the zone. He's hilarious. But obviously, he's not coming up with this stuff right off the top of his head in the moment. The magician always has his stuff set up.
Right.
So, there's almost something to, and I'd be interested to know, maybe you know what Doug's process is, but it seems like laying in bed that next morning with a hangover and thinking of something that really stands out to you might sort of be good for that art form. Because if you can make it funny then, if you could think about it then with a headache and your body's sore and you don't want to get out of bed, then it must be funny, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Kind of. What Doug does, one of the things that Doug does is his podcast. And Doug's podcast is basically, occasionally he has guests on, but oftentimes it's just him and his buddies, right? So they're all hanging around the house and they have, they're at the fun house and they have the setup there. And it's basically Doug holding court, talking about things. And in a similar vein to the way Bill Burr creates on his podcast, because Bill Burr is one of the most prolific comics, and I'm pretty sure the way he writes is he thinks about stuff. He has things that piss him off, and then he goes on his podcast and rants about them. And in that ranting, the constant ranting, he creates these things that there's a glimmer of light in that. There's a beacon of hope in this bit. Let me turn that into an actual routine. And then I've seen him on stage, and I've seen stuff that I've listened to him talk about on his podcast. He then brings to the stage.
So there's this movie on Hulu called Another Round, with that actor Mads Mikkelsen. I think he played Hannibal Lecter in the series, on Amazon Prime. Great show, by the way. Anyway, this movie is about this group of friends. Their life is kind of in shambles. They're at dinner and they're talking about how this one psychologist there is this guy who says that our optimal state of functioning, right? Functioning optimally, that is at a 0.05% blood alcohol content. So apparently with that alcohol content, you are more creative, you're more social, you're more everything, you're smarter really in general and everything. And it's that perfect level, right? Anything over, it starts getting bad, and anything under, well, then you're normal. So anyway, they talk about this and they decide to do an experiment and to try to stay at this level, right? So it's kind of funny, they're sneaking in drinks. One's a teacher, And anyway, so the teacher does have a bigger impact. He's better connects with the students. He's more creative. He has a better home life. All these experiences, they love it. They're like, oh, that's great. But slowly, each one of them starts drinking too much and it ends up ruining their lives. One's actually spoiler alert, one passes away. Anyway, the point of the matter is that it's very difficult to balance it. I also have a problem. I don't drink really anymore. Maybe once a month I'll have a drink, but I had to cut back because if I have booze in the house, I'm gonna end up drinking it. Now maybe I'm not gonna just chug it all, but I'll have a beer. I'll end up drinking throughout the day. And if you work from home, it's just not conducive. Having booze at home just doesn't work. At least not for me. I wish I could, but I'm not really good at managing that. So I don't know. So the things they talk about, I think that comedians and stuff, they have particular challenges with alcohol because. The comedy industry, like all comedy shows, it's all of those clubs have like drink minimums, like you get a drink ticket and then comedians drink for free. And so all your friends are comedians and they drink, and all these shows are at night. And so there's nightlife, I used to hang out at comedy clubs a lot because I used to work at a hotel right next to an improv, and I used to get free tickets. I used to bring, VIP customers, from the hotel or whatever, clients, whatever you want to call them, over there because I was the concierge. And, I ran into Norm Macdonald, and I partied with him at a couple of the clubs and stuff. And it's funny because that's what most comedians would do. They go stay at the hotel, they go do their improv, and then they party. They go around and have a good time. So I would find it impossible to be a comedian and not drink. But I could see how that could easily spiral out of control. And it seems like a lot of them do. And I think it goes to show with the depression thing too. So many comedians are also depressed, but that's a whole nother thing. It's a strange career choice. I think it's peculiar, but it's very rewarding if you can get into it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. What do you guys think about drinking? Are you able to control it? Do you drink daily? Do you drink on special occasions? What do you think? I remember one last thing. I remember one time, one of my first businesses I started when I was 26 was a SEO and marketing consulting firm, right? I know it's an easy business to start. Anyway, and once I got big enough and I hired a couple of people, I let everybody drink, because it was like a dream of mine is I could drink on the job. So I rented an office and I'd bring in a bottle of, it was a mint stuff because this was in Providence. So it was McKillicuddy's. I don't know if you guys know that shit. So we'd pound that stuff and we'd get incoming calls, customer support calls all day. So it really helped. But anyway, it was a shit show, as you can imagine. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, buy red and sell green.